Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, with the primary in New Hampshire just a few days away, Republican candidates are campaigning in the Granite State. And abortion rights opponents braved the wintry weather in our nation's capital for the annual March for Life.
Plus, as snow showers begin to exit, we are tracking some more bitter cold. Those details on the way as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. As the work week is coming to an end, so too is the snow, hopefully. But dangerous cold temperatures will continue through the weekend. Our first alert weather day continues as well, and meteorologist Cameron Aaron has the latest. Cameron?
Yes, Steve, the snow is not done with us just yet. As we go into this evening, we are still tracking some light to moderate snow showers across the mountains, zooming into a heavier band of snow in the Breathitt, also Magoffin County area here. This is pushing off to the south and east, so a first alert in Hindman, also Knott County into Prestonsburg for Floyd County. Some heavier pockets of snow not too far away. And same story from Martin County into Pike County, also Mingo and Logan counties in West Virginia. Some heavier pockets of snow there. And into southern Kentucky from Pineville over to Harlan for Harlan County, into Letcher County, also Lee and Wise County in southwest Virginia. Some more heavier pockets of snow not too far away. Those current temperatures down to 19 for Somerset, 18 for Williamsburg, 20 in Jackson, 24 over in Pikeville. And those temperatures will continue to fall as we go into this evening and tonight. And most of us wake up in the single digits as you wake up and start the weekend. We do have a wind chill advisory in place for most of us that will last through early on Sunday, as we could see low temperatures back to near or below zero by Sunday morning. Those wind chills possibly as low as -15 by Sunday morning. So once again, we are tracking some dangerously cold weather for this weekend, but a warm up is not too far away. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Despite flaring tensions and disrupted trade routes in the Middle East and historic winter weather here at home, gas prices seem to be holding steady for now. AAA says gas prices are holding in the low $3 range for a gallon. Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan says global demand for oil is down, and a dramatic shift to above average temperatures in the U.S. next week could counter any impact of recent refinery shutdowns, which would keep prices steady.
Oil production eventually is impacted, then these geopolitical tensions certainly could be more impactful in the weeks and months ahead.
And there could be pain at the pump later on, though, as the winter weather will eventually loosen its grip, which may result in gas prices going up with demand. FEMA is trying a different approach in the way it helps people after disasters. They have announced a number of measures to improve services. Those include giving wider access to an immediate $750 per person impacted by extreme weather. That money helps with costs like food, shelter, and evacuations. FEMA will also establish a new fund for where they stay, including friends and relatives' homes. The new rules come into effect starting March 22nd. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina will endorse former President Donald Trump at a rally in New Hampshire tonight. That state's primary is now just 4 days away. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns has the story.
Senator Tim Scott is headed to a rally for Donald Trump in New Hampshire to announce he's officially backing the former president. The South Carolina Republican ended his own run for the presidency in November.
I think this is an attractive endorsement for President Trump to have. He is somebody who I think has a connection to people in New Hampshire, so I'm not surprised to see him, if the reports are true, to be heading up there tonight.
Scott is the 25th senator to endorse Trump, who remains the Republican frontrunner in New Hampshire. Recent polling finds former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley in a strong second position after coming third in Iowa. She met Friday with voters at a coffee shop in the town of Hampton.
I'm close to feeling confident about her in terms of my vote. I'm a registered Democrat, but I feel like I will change my party to independent.
Democrats are not allowed to vote in the Republican primary, but independents are. Trump has complained that rule is artificially propping up Haley, but some political analysts say it better reflects who's more electable in November.
Well, I think what's really at stake for New Hampshire is whether or not Nikki Haley can really pull away. I think that if we see Donald Trump come in below 50%, then that's going to indicate that there's a lot of Republicans who are looking for someone else.
Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is in New Hampshire today.
Hello, South Carolina!
But he has shifted resources to South Carolina, where he'll campaign this weekend. Caitlin Huey-Burns, CBS News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Maine's Secretary of State is appealing a judge's ruling that put on hold her removal of Trump from the ballot. Democrat Sheena Bellows concluded last month he did not meet ballot qualifications due to his involvement in the U.S. Capitol attack on January 6, 2021. Some breaking news now out of Frankfurt. Governor Andy Beshear says Kentucky Emergency Management has reported 5 deaths due to the freezing temperatures this week in Kentucky. One of those was in Floyd County, a 44-year-old woman. The governor issued a statement saying, quote, "Brittany and I are praying for our Kentucky families who have lost their loved ones. Everyone, please take time today to check on your family, friends, and coworkers and make sure they have what they need to stay safe and warm." Again, 5 deaths reported in Kentucky this week from the bitter cold temperatures. Former President Trump is asking for a mistrial again in author E. Jean Carroll's defamation case against him after she admitted deleting emails. Trump attorney Alina Habba already asked for a mistrial earlier this week after Carroll testified that the deleted emails contained threats to her safety. The judge quickly rejected that initial request. Habba has asked the judge for a motion saying that without the records, there is no way to prove when the threats occurred. Abortion rights opponents braved the wintry weather in the nation's capital today for the annual March for Life. While they won a victory in the Supreme Court's dismantling of protections under Roe v. Wade, participants say they will continue to march until a, quote, culture of life is restored across the United States. CBS's Nicole Skanga reports from the march.
Make no mistake, we will march until abortion is unthinkable.
Thousands of abortion rights opponents weathered the snowfall in Washington, D.C. for the annual March for Life.
It's not political as much as it is just human.
Several GOP lawmakers turned out to rally after passing 2 bills this week focusing on unwanted pregnancy and pregnancy centers. House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana shared a personal story with the crowd.
I am myself a product of an unplanned pregnancy. My parents, who were just teenagers at the time, chose life, and I am very profoundly grateful that they did.
Marchers headed past the U.S. Capitol to the Supreme Court, where justices delivered a victory to the movement in 2022, ending federal abortion rights protections enshrined in Roe v. Wade. The issue is now playing out on the state level with mixed results ranging from all-out bans in 14 states to losses at the ballot boxes in Ohio, Kansas, and Kentucky.
In the next year ahead, we'll be in 16 states. We're coming to a state near you, folks.
Even in the snow and frigid cold, marchers tell us nothing was going to stop them from marching in Washington, D.C. today.
I have my foot warmers, my hand warmers. I have 4 layers on.
I think it's very important that the world sees us.
Movement organizers also expect the issue to be a rallying cry for Democrats come November. President Biden's re-election campaign has openly stated support for abortion rights.
Voting will change a lot of how this plays out with the years come.
You vote on this issue?
Absolutely.
Vice President Kamala Harris kicks off a Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour Monday in Wisconsin. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Washington.
The Biden administration is announcing another $325 million of federal investments in EV charging stations. The U.S. Departments of Treasury and Energy are releasing new census parameters to be eligible to receive a tax credit towards EV chargers. The government says 2/3 of Americans will be able to take advantage of the tax credit. Agencies say it will take up to 30% off the cost of a charger to those in low-income communities and non-urban areas. A new wave of student loan forgiveness by the Biden administration is canceling $5 billion in debt for 74,000 borrowers, many of which have worked in public sector jobs for more than a decade. President Biden said 44,000 of approved borrowers were having their education debt wiped clean after 10 years of public service. It is the latest round of loan forgiveness efforts after the Supreme Court struck down the White House's student loan debt relief plan last year. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, we find out if a device used to find important items such as your keys or phone does what it's supposed to do.
Plus, this deep freeze will stick around through the weekend. Your forecast coming up right after this break.